People say money corrupts people. You hear it all the time. Someone becomes wealthy and suddenly people will say, well, of course they change. Money changes people. I actually think that belief is completely wrong. And not only wrong, it's dangerous. Because if somewhere deep inside you believe that money corrupts people, your mind will subconsciously block you from ever creating it. So today I want to break down a powerful idea from psychology and behavioral science. Money doesn't corrupt people. Money reveals them. And the belief that it corrupts people is actually a narrative that quietly shapes many people's decisions about wealth. Okay, so let's talk about narrative pattern recognition. Money corrupts people. In the decision coherence framework, we talk about something called narrative pattern recognition. This is the ability to detect the hidden beliefs inside the stories people repeat about life. Because humans, we don't just operate on logic. I would love to, but we don't. We operate on narratives. So that could be stories about money, stories about what we think success is, stories about what we perceive to be powerful. And those stories become the decision filters that shape our behavior. So narrative pattern recognition is about identifying the hidden values and decisions, rules embedded inside the stories that people tell about their lives. So when people say money corrupts people, right? What they're really expressing is a deeper belief that wealth and money are somehow in conflict. Okay? Money equals amplifier, all right? Money does not create character. Money amplifies character. Think about it this way. Imagine someone who occasionally gambles. Maybe they go to the casino once in a blue moon. It's controlled because they have limited resources. Now, imagine that person, that same person, suddenly wins the lottery and receives millions of dollars. The money didn't create the gambling impulse. It simply removed the constraints that were keeping that impulse contained. And once the constraint disappears, the behavior expands. The money didn't create the character trait. It amplified it. Power reveals. There's actually research on this. Lord Acton famously said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But modern psychology paints a more nuanced picture. Researchers studying power and behavior found that power often increases the expression of a person's existing trait. So empathetic people with power often become more generous, while self-interested people with power often become more exploitative. Power doesn't magically create morality or corruption. It reveals what was already there. So money functions in the same way. Money increases agency. And when agency increases, people can express their character at a larger scale. Hence, power revealing. And this is the part people often ignore, because if money amplifies negative traits, it also amplifies positive ones. When generous people gain resources, they can build foundations. When thoughtful people gain resources, they can build institutions. When community-driven people gain resources, they can mobilize real change. Think about that. The philanthropic work done by people like Tony Robbins, community leaders who invest their time, money, and influence into improving the environments around them. Resources allow good people to scale their impact. So money expands the range of what someone is capable of doing. Okay, let's talk about this. Here is why this matters, okay? Because narrative shapes decisions. So if somewhere deep inside you believe money corrupts people, then your brain will create friction every time you approach wealth. You'll hesitate, you'll sabotage opportunities, you'll feel conflicted about success, because why would you pursue something you believe makes you worse as a person? And this is exactly how narratives quietly shape people's decision architecture. The decision coherence framework is about aligning emotional regulation, identity, strategy, and action so decisions become clear and consistent over time. And sometimes the first step is simply identifying the narrative that's been running the show, i.e., money corrupts people. Reality, money amps the character. And finally, your decision consequence is people will subconsciously block wealth. Money is not the moral variable. Character is. Money simply turns the volume up on whatever or whoever you already are. So instead of asking, does money corrupt people? A better question might be, who do you become when your capacity expands? Because the resources themselves are neutral. The real question is always the same. What kind of person are you becoming? So if you're interested in understanding how narratives shape the decisions people make in life, career, and leadership, that's exactly what we explore inside the Decision Coherence Framework.